Sandra all the time is here with the cold hard truth. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama, call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, they calling Sandra. And
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you. Good morning, K-Man. Happy Wednesday. How's everybody doing? Class is officially in session. Hope you guys are doing good. I'm still hearing a little bit of feedback on my mic. I gotta tell you, I'm not sure what's causing it, but I definitely hear it, and I don't know if anybody else hears it. All right, we're gonna have to get to the bottom of that because that's low key driving me crazy. And you don't want the teacher to be crazy. Hello. You'll never learn anything. Oh my gosh. All right, we'll try to figure it out. I don't know what's causing it. All right, let me just try one thing. Waiting on our guests to arrive. I see one of you. Let me go into my headphone settings. Hold on. There's all kind of fancy settings on this board. Let me see. We got high sensitivity. This will increase the headphone output. Ooh, no, that's worse. How about this one? No, that's worse. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay, we'll figure it out later on. I definitely know it started last week, eh? Pretend like we're Canadian for the day. All right, everybody good? Let's grab our links. Good morning. And then we are going to send those out to the WhatsApp channel. Morning. To what's up? Oops, I forgot to send the Facebook link. Hold on. The great thing I love about the WhatsApp channel is you can actually edit after you've sent a message. You can edit it, which is kind of nice. You can't do that with, you can't edit notifications. So sometimes I'd send out a notification when we did the notification list method, and there'd be a mistake in there. And I was like, oh man, I can't, there's no way for me to fix it, which is super annoying. All right, I see it's not showing up in Facebook this morning, so give me a second. Let me rectify that as well. You know, you got to be, this is like a work in progress. What it does now, for those of you who are wondering where it is, it actually shows up on the tab under live. So if you go in Facebook, there's an area called live, and you can click on that. And that's where it shows up, which is a little bit weird, yes. But other times it shows up directly in the timeline, which I know is easier for people to find. So we just roll with the punches. You got to be flexible in life. Remember, teacher told you that. Auntie Sandy told you flexibility is probably one of the more important things that you can be. You can't be stuck in anything because Lord knows you'll never get anything done. So we just roll with the punches, honey Jill. All right, so let me grab it for you. 1 second. We go to the video tab. You know, there used to be a way to do so much more with Facebook. Like you could customize your business pages. Look like they've taken away a lot of those functionalities. But anywho, All right, so there's the link, folks, on the page. Hold on one second. I'm going to resend it because I realize it's not populating the image. So give me 1 second. There we go. That's so much better. Ta-da! All right, I heard somebody else jump on the link, so give me 1 second. Let me see if all of our guests are ready. And then we are going to, as we say, hit the ground running. All right, good morning to Windsor Park crew. Good morning to Washington Boulevard, Caymanians in Florida. Good morning, Caymanians in the UK. And everybody else all over the world, you guys are tuned in. Let's say some good morning greetings while we're waiting on our guests to arrive. And then we will take it from there. All right, let me see now. Okay. I think I've shared it on the page. Let me just double check. Good morning from Raleigh, North Carolina. Buenos dias. Are you Caymanian living in North Carolina, or are you just one of our international crew that found us? I'd love to see all the people from overseas. Irvelyn, good morning to you. Marshall also joining us from North Carolina. Morning, Marshall. We got Miss Alba. Buenos dias. She always says, Buenos dias, Sandy. ¿Cómo estás? Estoy muy bien, gracias. At least she allows me to remember that much of my Spanish. Felicia Rankin in the house. Morning, 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 morning. Miss Yulene, good morning to you. Barbara G, good morning. Wee wee. We got Robert Ebanks. Good morning, sir. Hump Day Wednesday. That's right. That's right. Good morning, Miss Cherry. How you doing, honey chill? Carrie Whitaker in the house. We got an update to report on today on Carrie's case. We'll get to you, Carrie. Ay, 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 mamacita. What can I tell you? All right. We got Debbie here. Deborah Bodden. Thank you, ma'am. Miss Abby Bodden. Good morning, Abby. AJ. Morning, AJ. Miss Lucille is here joining us from the UK. She's saying good morning to everyone at home. Rotan Anglers. Good morning to the Honduras crew. Akil. Also joining us from Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm assuming you and AJ are related, given the last name. Both sharing the same last name. What are the chances? Emma, good morning to you. Miss Vernita joining us from the UK as well. Marshall, morning, morning. Coracita, buenos dias. What about the Instagram folks? Good morning to all of you. Your names are a little bit more difficult, but we have DeAndrew. We have Wallace McLaughlin. Yes. Oh, Wallace, what language is that? That looks like, is that Italian? Buongiorno Charisma. Sounds like it could be Italian. Harrison McLean in the house. Kel J. Barnes. Ashley. Good morning, Ashley. O'Neill. Michelle. King Navasa. King, somebody was asking me about you the other day. They're like, oh, have you heard from King lately? And I said, honey, shall he be out there living his best life? I mean, seriously, he's forgotten all about me, all about his Cayman linky links. So happy for you, King. You know, I didn't want you to move to the UK. I was like, no, don't go. But I tell you what, you've blossomed so much. I love it. I love that for you. And I always tell our people, you know, that's what it takes sometimes. You got to leave home and you got to spread your wings and, you know, find yourself. Just ask Dane. Thank you, Dane. Big shout out. Sunkissed. Good morning to you. Baddie. Are you really a baddie, young lady? Be a goodie. Be a goodie goodie. Mimi, Ebanks, Beauty Zone, Latin Queen. Yes, Charles Gordon, Rachie, Poetic. Oh my gosh, you guys are all here for it. You guys know what's going on. We got some special guests. We're waiting on one more. He's going to be joining us here shortly. Black Man Bodden, Eden King. I love it. I know, King. It's so funny because I don't normally see you peeping on Instagram, but I see you this morning, honey child. Miss Pat is also here. Whose birthday is it today? Corsita, it's your birthday? Whose birthday is it? Wow. Yep, AJ says we are one. Beautiful. Debbie Ebanks. Good morning, Miss Debbie. Speaking of people spreading their wings, she's about to do that herself, moving all the way halfway around the world. I love that for you, Debbie. I'm going to be on that adventure with you virtually. She says good morning to Zeus only. Oh, girl, you are so scandalous. And he's right here. You know, oh my gosh. If you have dogs, you guys will know. Cats are not like this. But this dog is attached to me at the hip. So much so that, can I tell you, if men talk to me, he doesn't like it, especially Jamaican men. Sorry, yardies. If y'all start talking to me and your name is not Marlon Hill, he's like, that not gonna work. He's always barking at him, trying to bite at their pants. I'm like, Zeus, you're so rude. All right, I think we're ready. Are we ready, Mr. Robert? Good morning. Pull that camera down just a toops for me. Pull it down so we can see your face square and set. There we go. Yes, that's how we like it. All right, folks. Election 2025 is right around the corner. April the 30th. That's going to be the day that we're going to go out in numbers. I was speaking to a gentleman yesterday, and he said, Sandy, I got registered to vote. Jamaican, now a Caymanian. He said, I got registered to vote for the first time. Of course, he was running from jury duty. Don't let that be the reason why you don't vote. Okay? We got to change that system, but that's a discussion for another day. So listen to me, folks. He got registered. And I said, oh, yeah? I said, where do you live, honey child? Come to find out he's in my area, down Beach Bay. And I said, oh, let me introduce you to Ozzy Bob. He's like, who is Ozzy? Listen, y'all live in this country and you have no clue who people are. I get it. I understand. Everybody's on their hustle. Everybody's busy working. So I want to give a special shout out to all of the candidates who take their time to come on this show. You know, they never know what they're going to get. We don't send them questions in advance. So they get ready for any and everything. And they're here. They show up. Showing up, my fellow Caymanians, quite frankly, is half the battle. You got to show up. You can't win if you don't show up. In class, you're not going to get a passing mark if you don't at the very least show up. So you have got to show up. That's the beginning. And you do your homework. You prepare as best you can. And then, you know, we go from there. All right. It's not an easy journey deciding to run for elected office. I know. I see what's going on. All the wolves come out. And, you know, we're going to call you out on things that you've done. We're going to ask you questions. But so be it. Just answer the question as honestly as you can. Caymanians are very understanding and forgiving people. And we want what's best for this country. So if you got the country's, best interests at heart, that's what we're all about. Let's welcome the head of the TCCP, Mr. Andre Ebanks. Good morning, Sir Andre. How are you?
Good morning, Sandra. Mic test. Can you hear me loud and clear?
I can hear you loud and clear. You're coming in so good this morning.
Good
Beautiful.
morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to Cayman and Caymanians overseas.
All right. Yes, we love our overseas crew. There's so many of them here. All right. So good morning to you, sir. And we also have joining you this morning, ladies first, Miss Natasha Barden. Good morning, Miss. Oh my Lord, have mercy, Natasha Whitelock. What a hot mess. Good morning, Natasha. Unmute yourself, honey child. You'd hit that mute button. That's okay.
Always in a rush. Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Andre. Good morning, Caymanians near and far. It's a pleasure to be on the show this morning and to be able to share my thoughts with you all.
Yes, this is your first time, so special welcome to you.
It is. It is.
Thank you. Yeah. We've got Mr. Robert Bodden, who is also, that's why I was looking at his name and thinking Bodden, you know. Hello, Mr. Robert. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Miss Sandy. I'm fine and thankful to be here.
Yes, thank you so much.
Good morning to all our radio audience.
Yes, we got radio, we got social media. We're already over 320 people on social media.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, yes. And that number is going to continue to rise this morning, no doubt. So, Mr. Andre, the announcement dropped yesterday that these are your latest, candidates for the TCCP party. That's the Caymanian party. Make sure y'all know Caymanians in the name, Caymanian Community Party. Both very, very important things. And so, of course, tell us a little bit about why you, as the leader of this party, chose these two individuals. Because a lot of people are like, okay, the list is getting fuller and interesting. So tell us why you chose them.
Well, thank you and good morning again. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome Natasha Whitelock, standing for Red Bay,
Yes.
and Mr. Robert Bodden, standing for Boddentown East. In the Caymanian Community Party, we make decisions as a team. And we have a application process. I think we've explained that before. Our application form is modeled on the Nolan principles and also the standards of public life. Both of these fine Caymanians stepped forward, completed the application process, submitted themselves to due diligence, greeted and met members of the team, and we got such a positive vibe that they were in sync with our values, seeing that the party wanted to be a grassroots movement, listening to the voices of the people, feeding those voices up to the party level, and then hopefully, Lord willing, to the executive. They're both served in various capacities in their communities. They are passionate about wanting to have meaningful outcomes for the country. They are passionate about working within a team where there is diversity of thought, but we're coming together to take Cayman forward for this generation and future generations. And once we were together in spirit, it felt right. Even last night, as we were discussing and talking about their introduction and how their days went, because this was their first day where they went, and these days there's no such thing as even national, international.
That's
Said,
right.
Look, it's not easy. I've completing 4 years for you all. This will be your first broadcast on a public show. So take stock.
First of many.
First of many. Take stock of it. Be proud of it. You're undertaking an exercise that some people don't even try. That many people don't. That only a small fraction of the society actually does. So it's a big deal to put yourself up for public service, to put yourself up for scrutiny, and to put yourself up for your community. And when we saw that heart, that spirit, and that mind connection, for us as a team, they fit right in.
All right, fantastic. And as we say, I often tell people on this program, I don't bite, but there is a bit of baptism by fire. And, we want to know who's running and what they're all about and what they stand for. And of course, we take the opportunity to get to know them. And then we also want to know a lot about the core issues that are facing this country, because everyone gets a sense that this is such a pivotal and important election. Bermuda had their election last night. Lots of other countries around the region have elections in 2025. So I always encourage our listeners to make sure that they educate themselves first and foremost, and then they get out there and make the best decision that they possibly can. So good morning. We see lots more people trickling on to the discussion. So if you're just here, Johan, thank you so much for joining us. I want to let you guys know that we have the TCCP in the house with their two latest candidates. We have Ms. Natasha Whitelock and Mr. Robert Bodden. So Natasha, we'll start a little bit with you. We did have, and this was quite interesting, we did have this person reminded me, they said, good morning, Auntie. As I asked back on February the 10th regarding the possibility of a TCCP candidate for Red Bay, well, it's a breath of fresh air, but I've never heard of this lady. I need to be convinced. So, our listeners are smart, they're savvy, they're learning to ask the right questions, and that's what I absolutely love. This person was not pleased with what they had seen come out thus far for Red Bay, and they were waiting and wondering, and now they see Ms. Natasha come forward. Ms. Natasha, why should someone give you a vote?
Because I feel that I have the best interests of the Red Bayers at heart. I'm not there. I don't want to come into this race with people thinking that I would just want to fill a seat. I've been a single mom for a long time, and I've had to do a lot of things on my own for the past, my kids, the oldest one is 33 now. So I've done a lot on my own, Sandy, and I know what it means to be a single parent and the struggles. And, I just want to be there for the people of Red Bay.
All right, we're going to get into some of those details. What do you mean when you want to be there for us? But you have a 33-year-old girl. You look like you're 33 yourself. You look so young and fresh and beautiful. Oh my gosh! Wow, wonderful. So that's an important perspective because, of course, I think that we all bring something different to the table. Our own individual experiences. So some of us are a bit older. We're heading towards retirement. Some are younger with younger kids, and that if I can say, Andre, that diversity, if you will, in your team, bringing women on board who can talk about being mothers, and that brings a totally different element that a lot of times men don't exactly understand. Bringing working mothers, people who are business owners to the table as part of your team. I think that diversity is extremely, extremely important. So we'll get into
if I could interject and make a brief intervention.
Absolutely.
It's extremely important, but it's also deliberate. So we haven't been in a blind rush to just add candidates from our party's perspective. We have been quite deliberate about it because we want that diversity of thought. We want that range of perspectives that makes for a stronger team. We wanted a blend of incumbents that have had international and domestic public service experience, particularly as the level of an MP and particularly as a former members of cabinet, but also to bring on fresh ideas and other perspectives, because there's a range of issues that need to be tackled and challenged, and you don't want to suffer from groupthink. So, for example, I don't want to steal Natasha's thunder, but I think she should give a little bit about her bio, because it is quite diverse. You will pick up in the bio, full disclosure, that we've known each other in another life, in another corporate life. And I invite Natasha to talk a little bit and share so that the people who are listening, and particularly those in Red Bay, can understand a bit more about her background.
All right, well, let's get into that. Natasha, whip out that resume, girl. Let's talk a little bit about who you are. So where are you from? Which district are you originally hailing from? Who your mama is, who your papa is, the things that Caymanians want to know just a little bit about.
All right. Sandy, I'm from the district of Georgetown. And I like to tell this story. I was originally born and raised in the Humane Society building. My grandparents used to own that building. Yeah, way back when, when there was no road through there. And so my mom is Melrose Whitelock. A lot of you will know her from the government licensing department. And my father is Samuel Whitelock, who most of you will know as Tommy. I moved to Selkirk Drive when I was 9 years old with all of my siblings, and a few more came after, of course. But when we moved onto Selkirk Drive, I moved in there. There was probably about 7 houses. Mr. Selkirk was still around. His kids were still around. There were a lot of expats moving into the area. We were all friends and playmates. And then since that, after Ivan, or just before Ivan, I actually purchased my parents' house from them. And I've lived there, and like I said, I was raised there. I raised my children there, and now, they continue to live there. And now my grandchildren are in the neighborhood, and I have 2 grandsons, one who's 13, and he's often riding around on weekends, scoping out the neighborhood. As I was driving around last weekend, I bumped into him and I said, "Hey, where are you going?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just looking around." So we're there, and my parents, they're on the Patrick's Island side of things. And of course, my grandparents lived, near the marina and also further up on Maho Drive on Prospect. And I have a slew of relatives and friends who live in the neighborhood as well. A lot of you will know me from my years when I worked in veterinary. After leaving high school, I did some years, if you remember, there was Patico's Video Store. I worked there for a long time, since I was 12 until about 16 in the afternoons with my aunt after school. And between there and the West Bay stores, I got to know a lot of people all the way from the tip of Northside, East End, Georgetown, everywhere. And then, of course, the West Bayers working in the West Bay store. After that, a lot of other people who didn't know me from there will know me from Trifles. I spent a couple of years there making everybody's ice cream cones and whatnot. It was really good. It was good. It was a good time in Cayman. A lot of really, really good, solid memories from all the people that I met from all walks of life. After leaving there, I then went into veterinary, and I did about 10 years in veterinary between the two clinics. And really enjoyed my time there, learned how to groom animals. And like I said, I'm a single parent. So, that came in very handy, making ends meet. There were some days that we only had, noodles, but we made it work, And then after veterinary, I ended up working for the government for a couple of years. And then the law firm snapped me up, and I stayed at the law firm doing intellectual property, patents, trademarks, copyrights, for almost 20 years, just short of 20 years. And so I had about 20 years doing international conferences, overseas here in Cayman, and then of course helping local businesses get their own marks trademarked and so on. So it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I met a lot of people near and far. And, I'm just happy to share those experiences. Even last night in a class, I was allowed by the teacher to give the students there just a little snippet on trademarks and teach them, a little bit on how to take care of their intellectual property here in Cayman and so on. And then, of course, there's the mothering aspect of me, where I have my 3 boys and 1 daughter and the 2 grandkids. And, just doing what I can locally, of course, and you'll know my name if you've seen me before. Near and far, I work with charities overseas, and then of course what I've done locally here in Cayman.
All right, so we're gonna get into some of the local charities, but I think it's interesting that you've had both governmental experience as a civil servant and private sector experience, because a lot of times there are individuals who have either had one or the other, or sometimes none at all. But I think that that's a very unique perspective. That gives you an interesting perspective, because there is a difference, obviously, between the two sectors. So that really piqued my interest. So thank you so much.
And if I could briefly make a brief intervention. Natasha suffers from what I suffer from, of being humble.
Yes. Okay.
So I am going to give her a shot in the arm here.
Yes.
The firm that she worked at was Appleby. And that's where we first met, because that's where I started off as a trainee attorney and then as a full attorney.
True. Very true.
And intellectual property is a very specialized area of law that not everyone practices. So I can remember being a trainee attorney, and even though you're the one that's called to the bar, still having to run to Natasha to say, what do you do with a trademark again? Because it's a very specialized area, and she knew it like the back of her hand. So to practice that area of law for 20 years, and that's when we first met each other. But I knew that from then that she was whip smart, very pleasant to deal with, and able to articulate complex principles in a way that a young buck attorney who think you may know it all coming out of law school still had a lot to learn. So credit to you, Natasha.
Fantastic. Wonderful. So we got 445 plus people listening on social media. And of course, big shout out to our Bobo listeners. Lots of them stuck in traffic, and they love listening to us in the morning. We thank them for their continued support. So we've talked a little bit about Natasha's professional life, and we'll get into some community details here in a second. But Shaka has a question for you straight out of the barn. Fireman Uncle Ween, Whitelock's sister. Is that you?
Guilty as charged.
All right. People putting you in the proper context now. They're like, okay, that's Uncle Wayne's sister. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Miss Charlene sending some morning greetings to Robert and Miss Whitelock. Emeralds and Diamonds says, good morning, Sandy. Kaboom. There we go.
An early kaboom.
Yes, to the TCCP, two great people for BTE and Red Bay. They will serve this country and their community well. Morning, Miss Amy. Amy Rankin joining us. Aliano in the house. Miss Lisa says, go, Natasha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shaka says, good morning, Auntie Sandy, Uncle Andre, and the rest of the panel. Happy hump day. Paul joining us from Bermuda. Like we said, we got a whole international crew here tuned in to the show. So, of course, folks, get your questions ready as we continue. Diana says, yep, she's a very, very nice person, nice, helpful person, and smart. Two very, very good traits to have, of course. All right, so let me see here.
And then I'll also just want to make one other note, because Sandra, you may be aware that in this term, we're trying to enhance the area of intellectual property for young creatives in the community. And from listening to the minority government, that project continues. So as we look forward into the next term and the Lord graces us and the people grace us with Natasha, that is a very important industry of intellectual property for our young creative Caymanians. It opens up a whole level of micro and small businesses that they can work for themselves. And you can have two people that can have a grand business in our creatives. And they're the Caymanian creative community, it may be larger than people think. So it would be wonderful to have someone around the caucus table that knows how to navigate that space.
Fantastic. I like it. All right. So some questions and comments coming in via WhatsApp. Of course, folks, you can call the show 93626. We've got multiple WhatsApp. That's why I keep looking over here, because that's another screen. And I will read your messages and share your questions and thoughts as they come in. So, Natasha, I'm going to just give it to you straight. That's what we do here on this program. The single most frequent question I've gotten for you since yesterday is whether or not you're still dating Isaac Rankin. And I know this is a bizarre question, but people want to know. I'm not in your business like that, so are you able to answer that question for our listeners this morning?
Of course I am, Sandra. And the answer is no. Isaac and I dated for some time. That's something public that everybody knew about. We made the decision some years ago to split and go our separate ways. However, we remain friends, very good friends. And, we have different ideals. And, this is where I am. And TCCP is my choice. And whatever he does is his. And we move on.
Yes, very good. All right.
I would say, Sandra, even though you say you're not in the business, it's a valid question.
Yes.
If I didn't know,
Andre, I'm in the business. I'm not.
That's what. Yes, good at it.
I don't know. Excellent. I don't know her like that, but there you go.
Not in her business, but you're in the business.
Yeah.
But if we didn't have say 20, almost, I believe it was almost 20 years ago. Wow, had that connection and know her to be comfortable enough to ask her that, it is a question that came to mind. So valid question.
Yes. And like I said, people keep asking me, and I'm like, I don't know. All right. So you got your answers now, folks. Relax. All right. Let's take a comment. I think this is a comment this morning. Hold on one second. Let me throw this up on screen. I like to put these on the screen because sometimes I'm like, do these people think I'm making these comments up? All right. So this one says, good morning. I want to say this, especially to undecided voters. TCCP is the best option for our island's future. The incumbent candidates have consistently demonstrated through their time in Parliament that their top priority is the betterment of our island and its people. Their leadership, policies, and actions have all reflected a commitment to progress, stability, and the well-being of our community. As we welcome new candidates, I'm confident that they will follow in the footsteps of these dedicated leaders, upholding the same values and commitment to positive change. Their fresh perspectives combined with the experienced leadership of our incumbents will only strengthen our path forward. I look forward to seeing them work together for the continued growth and prosperity of our island. Wow. This person sounds like they're a fan, Andre. Let's talk about some of those core values, because I think, you talked about your group does not have group think, which is important for people to have their own voices, even within a group. And, they're able to make contributions. But there is something, obviously, that is gluing all of you together in terms of core values. So what are some of those core values for TCCP?
Those core values have to do with honesty, integrity, putting the interests of the country as a whole before self-interest, ensuring that your focus is on the people and not any particular special interest, which then allows you to have a clearer mind to make decisions that will be tough. But if they're in the overall best interest of the people over special interests, that is what's binding us together. So we'll probably pivot to Robert in a minute, but just to kind of foreshadow when we first met, one of the things that grabbed me was he's saying, like, look, I have a young child now. I am not actually thinking about myself. I'm thinking about the position my child will be in. And that's one of the reasons that was close to my heart in 2021 is not necessarily Andre Ebanks. It is my two, Jackson and Savannah. What am I leaving behind for them? And also, we also are bound by inclusivity, that we're here for all Caymanians because it is a diverse country that is blessed in many ways, but there are challenges that could make this an even more dynamic place for all Caymanians. That is what is binding us together. They're centered around the Nolan principles, but I don't describe it that way because not everybody looks up the Nolan principles. You can Google them if you want. They're set out and they're clear and known. But really, it comes down to that accountability, honesty, integrity, fair dealing, and putting the country's interest over a self-interest or particular special interest.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Mr. Andre. People asking for you to speak up. They say we want to hear Andre loud and clear. You know what? Move the mic up a little bit closer because you're a little bit soft spoken sometimes, and that's all right. He's got that. I'm gonna just mute you so we don't hear you rumbling with the mic there. But he's got that personality where he's very even tempered. I have to ask you, Andre. I've seen a little bit of fire in your belly, but do you ever get upset at anything? I know you're not like me. We're gonna probably curse people out, but do you ever get a little bit like perturbed? I see what you do when you get perturbed. You pray. I admire that.
Well, quick mic test. How about now?
Yeah, sounding good.
Good. You, as a human being, will naturally be either upset or bothered. It's a human emotion. There's no sense saying that you don't get upset. Mm-hmm. But what I've honed is how to handle being upset and trying to think, how do I try to help resolve the situation? So if my only reaction is simply to just be upset about it, but I still have to think through that I'm upset because there's a problem.
Yes, and you got to find a solution.
So focus on trying to find the resolution and the solution. And that way, I don't need to be upset anymore. And hopefully the people that I'm serving don't need to be upset anymore.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mr. Andre. All right, we got another comment that has come in via WhatsApp. So this one says, this is such a fresh... sorry. There is such a breath of fresh air seeing, good morning, Sandy. Look like they forgot that part first. Miss Whitelock's post with the future Red Bay MP office. This is leadership at Red Bay. Been neglected far too long now. Amen. Well done, young lady. I wish her success. We have nowhere to go for help or anything in Red Bay. Good for her from starting an office early. So let me ask you about this because I wasn't even aware of this. What I'm understanding here, Natasha, is that you've already opened an MP office. Is that what this person's saying? Okay.
So our intention is to establish an office on Selkirk Drive. Mm-hmm. The property belongs to myself. Okay. So our plan is to turn that shortly into an office that'll be open and ready to go for everyone to attend if needed. We're also planning to have our first meet and greet next week. and hopefully everyone will come out, and we'll get it out there. And the address for those who don't know where it is, it'll be on our social media.
All right, invite us by for a little tour when you're ready. Miss
And
Lily?
and I know different MPs have different approaches, but we as a team wholeheartedly support Natasha in that early effort, because it is important for the community to know that there's an office that they can go to
Absolutely.
have assistance.
Yes.
I always view it as going in there as I'm going down to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's an office, and
Yeah.
that's where I'm in there to work. It may sound slightly old-fashioned because there's so much that you can do from home these days, but
Yes.
when you're in public service, even if you as the MP are out and about in the community, or if you happen to be a caucus or cabinet minister, you may not be able to be present there all the time because you have government duty. But as long as you have staff that are there that people can go to on regular scheduled office hours, it helps, because it is a physical job. You have to meet and greet people where they are, so that they know that there's that symbol. I often joke about it with constituents that it's the West Bay South Embassy that they can run into. So it's that forethought of Natasha that I really give her credit for. And it must be, and I'll let you speak, Natasha, it must be because you must have seen an immediate need.
Yes. Yes, there's no way, and persons have mentioned to me before about the kids now not having anywhere to go in Red Bay to play and so on. Like I said, I raised my kids in that area. They spent a lot of time at the skate park and so on, and all of those things have now been taken away. So it'll be good to get in there and to hear the needs of the people and to put their needs first.
Yes. No, I love it. I must tell you, Miss Sabrina did the same thing last election cycle. She actually opened her office before she even got elected, and it shows a level of dedication to the people before you're even hired for the job. And I think that when it comes to public service and being, an MP, that is extremely, extremely important. So let's have a look at another comments. This person says, Andre seems to be making better candidate choices than the other groups. No alleged rapists in sight. Impressed with the TCCP. This group should be everyone's choice if you have any hope to revive our beautiful country, which has gone to hell in a handbasket. Proud of you, brother Andre. And that is coming from a Caymanian. So thank you so much for that comment.
Thank you very much indeed.
All right. Very, very good. All right. Thank you to everyone who's listening. I think we're pushing 500 now. Let's keep those numbers going, honey child. We like a full class attendance. And here in a second, we're going to start talking to Mr. Robert Bodden as well. We do have a caller in the program. Good morning, caller. Oh, honey child, hold on. I can't hear you. Yeah. This happens sometimes with the phone. I don't know why. Let's try it again. No, hold on. I got to play with the wires. I feel like I'm MacGyver some mornings. Hello? No. All right, let me restart the phone and I'm going to call you back. Sometimes a little reboot helps. So give me one quick second. I'm going to just restart it and then we'll try to get that call. I know it's a female caller because I could hear saying, hello? Anybody there? All right. So let me just reboot the good old iPhone and then we'll call her back. Because guess what? You can call toll free now if you're a Flow customer. Please don't forget that. 936-2626 is the telephone number. So give me one quick second, just rebooting. So, Andre, let me just ask you a quick question here. I mean, obviously, people are seeing something fresh and different with the TCCP. We're going to see something for the second half of the show, extremely fresh and different. Lily, first of all, says TCCP all the way. Andre for Premier. Do you think you're ready for a premiership?
Excellent question. Now I want to make sure I speak up for this one.
Yes.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you. Tell us.
I have never thought of bucking or pushing for a particular post. So I was humbled when this party formed to be able to be put forward by Mr. G. Wayne Panton himself as the leader of the party. But as I had to take an honest assessment of myself and looked at the range of skills, not just, as you mentioned in Natasha's case, private sector experience as an attorney. Nearly 8 years as a civil servant in a variety of different posts at high level, and then to have a strong showing as a minister around the cabinet table and having acted as the premier. Not that I have a desire for power in any way, shape, or form, but I do believe I have the range of experience and skill sets and integrity to fulfill the post of premier. I don't view it as an individual hunt for power. It's a post, it's an office. And you, just like any other post that you would see as an ad in the Compass, and you look at the job description and you make an honest assessment of whether or not I meet the qualifications for the job, I believe that I do. And having acted as premier, felt, you know what, I could do this. I have acted as premier, and I feel that with the right team around me, who are selfless, who are accountable, who are coherent, diverse, but able to reconcile positions as a team, and looking at certain successes of individual ministers, just imagine if you think that there have been a few ministers, either this administration or in the past, on their own, who have had strong showings. Imagine, Cayman, 8 ministers backed up by a caucus that is moving in sync. I'm here to tell you that you can move mountains in one term if you are united and looking for the people. And I'd be honored to lead that team.
That's all I can say there, honey child. Let's have a look at King on IG. Says, I remember us all going for fun dinner before I left for Christmas. Natasha has beautiful vibes. XO. Thank you, King Navasa. Appreciate that. I'm sure Natasha appreciates that as well. Wow. Y'all giving me the bejeebers this morning. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. Yes, sir, honey child. Diana says, I need you for GTE. Wow. Oh, yes. Oh, gosh, I forgot to call this caller. Good morning, caller. I still can't hear you. What? Hold on. Shala, forgot all about you.
I was going to ask you if you were going to call the person back.
Hello, caller.
Hello?
Oh, there we go. My goodness. Good morning, honey. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. Good
By
morning
the way,
to
can we just give you a big birthday shout out? We know your birthday was on Saturday, so happy belated birthday.
Thank you. I just have a comment and also a question for Ms. Whitelock. She probably will not remember me. This was many moons ago. I just wanted to give you a little short story to speak to her character. Put it this way, I won't go into too much detail, but I had a conflict with her daughter. And instead of her, lashing out at me, taking out for her daughter, whatever, dismissing me, she sat me down and she said, look, let me give you some advice, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can't go into too many details. It's a little embarrassing on my part. But just to speak to her character, she sat me down as if I was her own child, even though I was in conflict with her child. And I think that speaks a lot to her character. So I just wanted to say that. Also, I had a quick question for her. You spoke about the office, your office, and that being your property. If you are elected as an MP, will you take the stipend or the money or whatever that is used for renting an office space, or seeing that it's your own property? Would you not take it? Or I don't know if you still owe on the property. Maybe you need it. But yeah, that's just a quick question. It may seem simple, but we know in the past how some people have abused that.
I like it. Thank you so much. So
very good question.
For the benefit of our listeners, all MPs get a monthly stipend, if you will. That is, they get staff and stuff as well. But the stipend is for things like rent, if they have an MP office, and so forth. But since you own the office, to the caller's point, you wouldn't be paying rent to anyone else. So would you take the stipend? And if so, what would you be doing with it?
Sandra, that's a very good question. And I'm sorry I didn't see the name of the young lady, but I'm so happy that I was able to. Pardon me?
No, she actually didn't say her name, but.
Yeah, but thank you. And I'm glad I was able to help and diffuse the situation at that time, because one thing I do hate, and that's conflict. So I'm really happy that worked out. As far as the house is concerned and the property, I still do owe a mortgage on it. So the mortgage will still have to be paid. So I would, there'll be expenses and so on. So unfortunately, I would say in this case, yes, I would have to.
I don't think you should say unfortunately. It's part of service. You're provided that stipend, and you've clearly articulated that it's going to go towards the running of that office, whether it's rent or mortgage, utilities, staff will need supplies. It adds up. So as long as you are applying those funds as what's being distributed for in furtherance of the office, it's not unfortunate because it's there to serve the people.
Yes. And there are people who take the stipend and don't even have an office, and we're not quite sure what happens to that stipend money. So Selvin is in the house this morning. Selvin says the question of people's personal business is not a valid question. Are we now going to tell her who to date? Not a valid question, but ask about policies. Thus, my question is, what policy would the two candidates to the TCCP would table to Parliament in relation to our young people? So, Selvin, you're going to be really happy. We're going to get to that in just a second. We got something coming in part 2. And to that question, Johan is in the house saying, Selvin, somebody must have hacked your Facebook account because you've been talking sense the last 2 days, asking relevant questions. Hashtag call 911.
Okay.
Okay. Talk about hashtag PPM Kool-Aid crew. Johan, please get in the naughty corner right now. No brownies for you.
But Selvin makes a very valid point. I mean, even though when we talked about it before, and the question, I will admit, I said came to my mind, but is it really relevant?
Yeah.
But it is part of the process. It's part of scrutiny. And that's why I said earlier, it is valid. But then when you really sit back and think about it in terms of the job that you're applying for, should past dating come into it? But it has to be addressed. So she's knocked it right on its head.
Exactly.
But Selvin, in theory, does pose an interesting point when you think about it deeper.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if she was just dating some Joe Schmo, we wouldn't care. Let's be honest here. It is that he is a sitting MP. And maybe some people are thinking of conflicts of interest, because we've talked about this on this program before. If you have multiple MPs having personal relationships, they're not able to think for themselves. So I think in this instance, the dynamics of who she used to date 2 years ago, she said she's no longer there. That does matter, because you get in there and you will have all sorts of relationships. We saw a lot of flipping and flopping all over the place. And it does make you wonder why some people take the positions that they do. So asked and answered, move it on, honey child. Shaka Zula says Uncle Andre is cool, calm, and collected. He and Wayne Panton have excellent demeanor when it comes to reasoning and decision-making. Trust comes automatically with such a rare political quality. Yes, Mr. Wayne tends to, as they say, cooler heads prevail. This anonymous person says, good morning, all. Please ask Mr. Andre if he has anyone in the works for GTC. That's Georgetown Central. I really like this party, but they don't have anyone for me to vote for. So anything going on for Georgetown Central? I mean, you don't have to give us details yet, but something shaking up.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned for next week. Stay tuned for next week. We have GTE. I must say to you, I've gotten personal WhatsApps for people also asking about Georgetown South and also Georgetown Central. I've gotten WhatsApps. So stay tuned till next week and see what we may also have in store ahead of nomination day, which is the 3rd of March.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Sandra says, is Mr. Rankin from Baden Town West part of Mr. Andre's group? Which Mr. Rankin is she referring to? No. Sandra, you gotta keep up now. Baden Town West, that's my constituency, and that is going to be Ozzy
Baden.
Yes, Ozzy's back, honey child. Good morning, Miss Iva says to my classmates, Mr. Robert, still waiting. All right, let's turn to Mr. Robert. Thank you, Iva.
Good segue. Good segue.
Yes, absolutely.
Good morning, Sandra.
Morning, Robert. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. Thankful to be here and to be part
Yes.
of this great team, the TCCP.
Bless you so much for joining us. So, Mr. Robert, please whip out your resume as well. Tell us a little bit about, first of all, who you're from, because, just out of curiosity, where do you hail from? And then we'll get into your work experience.
All right, cool. So my name is Robert Anthony Bodden. I'm the eldest of Joseph Haldane Bodden and Pauline Bodden, affectionately called Miss P. My navel string is buried in Bodden Town on the grounds of my old parents' yard. We call it our old homestead, which unfortunately was demolished in Ivan. I'm the eldest son of Haldane and Miss P. Preceding me in death was my brother Ricardo Bodden and Eddington and Roger Bodden. Many of the younger people or people of my age may remember my dad as Hal the Barber, and he probably cut a lot of their hair. So originally my dad was a seaman sailing out of Jamaica, met my mom. I was the oldest of 4 kids that was born in Jamaica. We came back to Cayman in 6 or 7, and we made our home here on Spice Drive in Bodden Town. My grandmother, Jane Ginevra Bodden, was the founder of the Bodden Town Seventh-day Adventist Church. And based on that, she encouraged my dad to enroll me in the Seventh-day Adventist school, which at the time was located on 4th Street, where the building now HSM Chambers is. Hoping that I maintained the Christian foundation, which we all grew up with, and which he was strongly involved in. My childhood education, I joined the Bodden Town Primary as our family expanded, and it was more easier to for us being in Bodden Town, attending that school. So I grew up in Bodden Town. I was part of the Boys Brigade, the church choir. Back in those days, there weren't nothing much to do, so as entertainment, we as youngsters, we were part of every Sabbath Bible school in the summer. So I went to Church of God Bible School, Adventist, and Presbyterian. My education then completed at the John Gray High School. I graduated in 1982. I had passes in economics, mathematics, English, so forth. And straight out of high school, I was fortunate enough to get a job in the financial field at Kitco with Mr. Brian Bothwell. After that, I joined the Customs Department, which I maintained as an officer there. And people may remember me from being an officer. I was stationed mostly at the Georgetown import at the pier. So I was the officer for boarding of vessels when they arrived and inspection of goods. I was also at the airport, so people may have remembered me from there. After that, I went into property management. In 1986, I left Customs, went to Mariners Cove, and I was the strata manager there up till that would be after Gilbert, where they were severely damaged. So my experience
I think that was Ivan.
Oh, Gilbert, sorry. Yeah.
That was Gilbert that they were damaged as well? And then Ivan, they
so,
disappeared completely.
And then, Ivan took him out. Yeah, he was the knockout punch. So my background mainly is in construction, hospitality, of which I did over 20 years as property manager. And I have this saying, I started from humble beginnings, raking the beach and went on to become a property manager. So, it's encouraging. And when I hear of, all of the people not wanting to get into hospitality, I wonder, because it's such a rewarding experience. I mean, tourism was built by our our forefathers and ladies. I mean, tourism center about us, welcoming people and welcoming them and so on and so forth. So, hence the Caymankind experience, which everyone gravitates to now. But all in all, I grew up with a passion of politics. My dad being a barber, there was always that discussion, some heated, some jovial, about the politics of the day. So as a young child, I had that passion, and that went on till, I guess, 2012. I joined the UDP party at the time. I canvassed Bontown East for the UDP candidates of 2013. And I then became the district chairman for the Bontown CDP party, which then led me for my first political run in 2017 with the CDP party. I had a strong showing at that time, and in 2021, I campaigned and canvassed again for my cousin Osborne Bodden. And today I'm here representing myself with the TCCP party. So I'm no stranger to the people of Bontown East. And a lot of people might have met me from my door-to-door canvassing, through my real estate business, which I'm a proud owner of an independent small real estate business. And I'm quite sure you've seen my signs and my face throughout the Cayman Islands. My passion for my people, the lack of direction that our people are facing, we're become a minority, and so on and so forth, has driven me back into politics and want to serve my people, because we've been left behind. And as my cousin Roy Bodden rightfully says, who are we developing for? Our people are disadvantaged, and I would like to be a part by offering my solutions and experience to help the Bontown people, and also to bring a facelift to Bontown East. I mean, Bontown Central, Bontown on the whole, was our first capital, which has been severely neglected by current and future politicians. If Jim Bodden could talk to me from the grave today,
hopefully not future if you get in. So by current politicians.
Yeah, by current and past politicians, Bontown East have been severely neglected. We're in dire need of change and a facelift for Central Bontown. If Jim Bodden could talk from the grave, he'd say, Robert, this is not the direction or the place where Bontown East is at. I'm severely disappointed. It looks worse than when I left it. And to top it off, now they've burnt down the Civic Center. So, I mean, the challenges and the issues are there. So I'm grateful and I'm humbled to be a part of this party. And I look forward to working with the people of Bontown and with the party to offer solutions to their needs in the district and on the island as a whole.
All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, let's continue. I'm taking your questions and comments. One quick second here. All right. So thank you, Mr. Robert. We do have a question for you. Oh, callers. Hello. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I had to call back. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely.
I have a quick question for Mr. Bodden. Being in the real estate industry, some may say that you would directly benefit from more development. How would you address that question or accusation? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So I think the precursor to that is, if you are elected as an MP, will you continue to work as a realtor?
Thank you for the question. My experience as a realtor gives me the opportunity to work to bring solutions to the cost of land, the cost of housing that so many young people are facing today. We're at a crossroads where we need rezoning, we need cheaper land available, because as it stands right now, you cannot find a piece of land anywhere on the island under $75,000. Cayman is developing, and who are we developing for? There's many issues surrounding real estate and the purchase and acquiring of land and homes in this country. So with my experience, I would be an advocate to better facilitate the needs of Caymanians on a whole, that we are a part of the prosperity that this island offers, and that we can actually afford to live and provide shelter for our family and our children. The biggest cost anyone will make, the biggest purchase anyone will make in their lifetime is the purchase of a home or a piece of land. So I will work tirelessly to make sure that every Caymanian has that opportunity within their means to purchase and share the Cayman dream.
Mm-hmm. And you didn't quite answer my question. So as a teacher, I'm a real stickler for answering the question. So let's go back again, because I think you answered her question, but I kind of threw you a curveball. And I said, if you were elected as MP, would you still be involved in the real estate business?
Well, my business probably will be still up and operational. I have other team members that would be facilitating, that business. So yes.
Okay. So the business would continue.
So the business would continue, but we would need, and that's what Robert and I have discussed, his absolute focus as an MP.
Yes.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct. Yeah, I have in place other members of my team that would maintain and manage that business. I would not have day-to-day involvements.
Yes, that's what we want to hear. Because, let's be honest, your opponent, John, I'm going to just throw this out there, Dwayne Seymour, has a business. We've seen perceived conflicts of interest where he's even gotten government contracts. So to the caller's question, he's got a contract for the airport when he was part of cabinet. And, people question that. My sources have revealed right from within the airport and Cayman Airways, his invoices were not even questioned when they were submitted because, he's a minister. So he's also breached, we know this factually speaking, he's also breached labor laws, and he is the minister responsible for labor. So there are times when you get in as a MP that there will be conflicts that will either apparent conflicts or real conflicts that will exist because of a previous business connection and your new position of supposedly serving the people of the Cayman Islands. So we want to be very, very clear about where candidates stand if they have existing business interests. So thank you, Mr. Robert.
It's an important point, Sandra, because that's what conflict of interest is about. Is there something else in your background that even though you would make an objective decision that is pulling you to lead another way, real or perceived, intentional, unintentional?
Yes.
But if you're continuing to try to do both things, so what my law school professor used to say, you can't serve two masters.
That's right.
Correct.
So you'll need to have a clear-eyed mind to say, I'm making an objective decision. But what makes Robert attractive is the ability to know the issues around real estate. So similar, if we piggyback off of Natasha and the specialized area of IP, bringing that knowledge of how does it actually work? How do you actually get the Caymanian creatives to the table? In his world, how does it actually work? You're in the business day to day, you're in the trenches. How do we really affect the rezoning for Caymanians? What's the best way in which government can go about it to get Caymanians onto the property ladder?
Yeah.
So what he's bringing is not necessarily the business, but it's the knowledge of the business that strengthens the team.
Correct.
Yes. And of course, there is this core issue, which we have touched on before, of also getting Caymanians involved in the real estate industry as entrepreneurs and realtors as well, something that we seriously advocate for, because if we're going to make this a profitable business, which it has been for many, many decades, for everybody else, Caymanians should be at the top of that food chain as well. All right. Inspiring says he would make an excellent premier. So you get a vote of confidence there to Mr. Andre. Priscilla says there'll be expenses to pay, such as staff, etc. Going back to the question about the stipend, Johan says, take the stipend money to pay for the costs associated with the property. The candidate will have to pay for an office somewhere and all associated costs. People are taking stipends and do not have an office. So I'm just going to mute you when you're sneezing. Look like you got some allergies here this morning, Mr. I'm just going to remove you for a quick second. I'm going to remind you, you can always mute yourself, Mr. Robert. You see that little mute button right there? If you click that, I know sometimes it's hard when a sneeze is coming, but All right.
Sandra, you did that very well when you were sick the last time we were on. So
Oh my gosh.
you're a pro.
Yeah,
You're a
COVID,
pro at this. So feel
COVID
free to
got
stop your camera, Robert, if you're under the
Yes, he
weather.
just hit that little. Yes, he's getting used to the tech too.
Because you did it quite well, balanced it quite well the last time when you were sick.
Yes,
You
and
sound much better, by the way.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I
Yeah,
feel
thank you. Just a lingering cough and my
Yes,
sinuses are acting
that's
up.
okay. I know how it is. All right, Shaka Zulu says kudos to Auntie Whitelock for such positive conflict resolution. Please don't gloss over such a wonderful quality from a generational Caymanians. It seems sort of rare. And to that person's testament, I think that is an important point because again, the character traits that we have, the things that we stand for on a personal and professional level, no doubt, though, that is really what you bring as core values to any job in any position. So please keep those things in mind.
And one thing,
So if you
Sandra,
have someone who's dishonest outside of politics, you better believe when they get in politics, they can't be honest. I mean, I'm just saying.
And one thing, Sandra, that I has a takeaway from the last show when someone from the Sister Islands called in to not forget them. Have we drawn out Natasha's link to the BRAC? I don't know that I don't know that you pushed it, Natasha.
No, tell us.
I think it's worth a drop.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. My link to the BRAC is so deep. I think I'm related to everybody in Cayman BRAC,
Wow.
to be honest.
Yes.
Well, first I'll go with my dad's side of things, Miss Maudie in Watering Place. God bless her soul. She's passed on now a couple of years, but she lived to the ripe old age of 104, I do believe.
Wow.
That was my grandmother, and she was known in the neighborhood for making coconut oil. And a lot of people, when I go there, they still come up to me and say, "Hey, your grandmother planted this tree for me, and it's still growing." And they, always have really good stories to share about her. I miss her dearly. Also, on my mom's side would be the Dilberts. So Alfred Dilbert was my grandfather. A lot of the netballers would have known him. He built the first netball court here in Cayman. He was very good with building catboats, and one of those, to the best of my knowledge, hangs in the Kimpton. So yeah, those are my Cayman BRAC roots. They go far, they go deep, and that's me. And I still keep a house there to this day and frequent the island often.
All right, absolutely beautiful. All right, because of course our sister islands, very, very important, a part of us. It's the Cayman Islands. Yeah. I always remind my daughter, she's like, "Oh, we're from the Cayman Island." I said, "Not island. There's 3 absolutely beautiful islands that we are proud to claim."
Yes.
And we're all one at the end of the day. So thank you for bringing that up. Johan, check your WhatsApp messages. We're not going to discuss that anymore in the show. But again, it's relevant for more reasons than one. Selvin says, "Mr. Bodden, let me first say hats off for taking the step to put yourself up for political office. However, you'll be contesting the constituency where the incumbent is Mr. Seymour. What will you do differently with 1 or 2 specific issues different to Mr. Seymour?" So very good question, Selvin. I think this is an episode of the Body Snatchers, because Selvin is coming with good, balanced questions, and I love it. Mr. Bodden, what do you intend to do?
Thank you, Selvin. For one,
Yeah.
I will be visible to the people of Bodden Town East. I will make sure that I'm accessible and that people can get their questions and whatever their needs are for the district. From my experience, the incumbent or previous ministers or MPs before them, once they're elected, they forget about the people, and they forget about the things that are needed in the district. I mean, Bodden Town needs are a lot more than the speed bumps here and there. Traffic management is high, and the list goes on. So I would definitely be accessible, and I would be visible to the people in Bodden Town East.
All right, very good. Now, Mr. Bodden, we don't shy away from the tough questions, and yes. I think it's important for people to just be direct. That's the only way that you can address some of these things that people throw at you. So we had the second your story came out yesterday. We did have someone come forward with an apparent complaint about you. And so I'd like for you to address this because it was sort of going viral on WhatsApp and people were circulating it. And after you address it, then I'm going to give my thoughts because I know a little bit more about what's going on here. But I don't know if you've seen it because, again, we don't send questions in advance because we want to hear the authentic responses. So I want you to have a look at this. So this young man, Romeo Welcome, shared our post, and he says, how this drunken thief, he misspelled thief, by the way, but anywho, going, you know what, I'm not voting anyway. So I don't know if you know who Mr. Romeo is or if you're familiar with him and why he would have such strong feelings towards you. But do you know? Let me ask you that question. First of all, do you know who he is?
I don't specifically know of Mr. Romeo Welcome.
Yeah.
Could be a plant from my opposition is my gut feeling.
All right, so let me tell you who he is and what his alleged complaint is according to my sources. So this would be Miss Ramelia's, based on a name, you see, very close name. Ramelia Welcome. She's from Georgetown, Windsor Park area. This is her son. Now he claims that he purchased a home from you, as I guess you as a realtor. And the home has had a number of issues, including a roofie leak and all this kind of stuff. And he blames you for that. So I don't know if that rings a bell, but supposedly he was complaining to you. So, you know.
Well, he did in fact purchase a home from me.
Yes.
But I mean, it is buyers beware. We did an inspection of the home. He was well aware of the condition of the home. He got a fair price for the home. He had a valuation done of the home, which he had all opportunities from professional people, including myself, to guide him as to the condition of the property that he was buying. So in real estate, as buyers beware. You know, if you did not inspect the property, you know, that would be a horse of a different color. However, he did do this and he had professionals inspect the property on his behalf. So, you know, he bought what he was advised on, so he can't put the blame squarely on myself.
All right.
And is that just to ask you, just since we're speaking factually and live and not scripted, is that unusual in your world, Robert, where a property is imperfect and someone purchases with the knowledge and then knows that they may have to do certain refurbishments or remodeling? Does that occur often in the business?
Yeah.
Provided that the buyer has been provided with the information as to the state of its condition and what needs to be done, and then still executes a purchase. Is that unusual? I'm just curious.
No, that's not unusual. I mean, he inspected the property,
and you could, and to my mind, you could answer without specifically addressing to him. I just mean from a general standpoint for the public.
From a general standpoint, you buy a fixer-upper, of course. You know, it's always recommended if you're not prepared or have the capacity to make a professional opinion, you seek the services of, say, a home inspection person. But the avenues and the options are there for you as a purchaser. You know, if I'm buying a home, I'm not going to rely solely on the real estate's advice.
Yes.
They're in the business of selling. If I'm going to buy, I have to investigate that what I am buying suits my needs. And I'm aware of any unforeseen stuff. But it's not unusual for anyone to buy a property and then thereafter run into issues with the property.
Honey child, I can speak to that myself. Let me tell you. All sorts of things come up. And you're like, what on earth? A leak here, a leak there. I think people just don't understand a lot of these things, and it's important to educate. Somebody said, you know, my classroom, they got all kind of information. They said what Romeo needs to talk is that he got cheap work done in the roof and made the leaking worse using coke heads. Lord have mercy. Y'all please behave yourselves.
Yeah.
Babe. All right. So listen. Real estate 101, purchasing 101. It's always in law, caveat emptor, buyer beware. It is your responsibility as a buyer to check things out, whether it's a vehicle, whether it's a pair of sunglasses or the biggest purchase you'll ever make is a house. And if you're purchasing a fixer-upper, then you should know things are going to need to be fixed to make it uppity. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
That's part of it. And of course, I always recommend to spend a few dollars. And yes, it's going to cost you a few dollars. And there's one guy who does a phenomenal job. His professional job is to come in and inspect your properties. And Honey Chai, he looks from top to bottom. Right. He does electrical, plumbing. He looks at everything. And then he will give you a report. And you can see if there's any issues that you need to address. But I can tell you, you can go out there and purchase a multi-million-dollar home, and you'd be surprised when things start leaking and you got problems. Let's keep it moving.
Correct.
Let me see here now. Raymond Barnes in the house. Good morning. Raymond says, but it sounds like you still sold spotty work. But again, Raymond, if the buyer knows that it is a fixer-upper and they have the opportunity to inspect it, people can sell anything. It is your responsibility to inspect it and understand what it is that you're getting into. So it sounds to me, if somebody says you're purchasing a fixer-upper, you obviously know that there are issues there with the property. All right. Let's move on. We got some very good questions coming in. Valeska, good morning to you. Valeska says, before we get to Valeska, one other question here that's short and sweet. Someone says, do you have, please, Sandy, please ask Mr. Bodden if he has any allergies to the government building. So we want to make sure you're going to be able to show up to work in the government building. Are you allergic to the building that you're aware of?
No, certainly not. Unlike the incumbent, who has an absenteeism history, right? No.
Yeah, so we can expect you to show up and to actually do some work.
You're most correct. Yes.
Yes. All right. Very good. So let me see here now. Ms. Valeska, yes, her question is, what is your stance on the current maternity laws in the Cayman Islands? And would you be willing to undertake efforts to advocate for changes or improvement to these laws? So any of you can speak to that?
I can speak to that. There's an ongoing policy change for family leave because it also impacts paternity leave. We now have more modern families, and the country needs, as it's moved on, because these laws are hangovers of history. But now as we moved on and families have become diverse, there are states and other jurisdictions that have now moved to what's just known as family leave, to take the time for that special bonding. So the entire regime, maternity and paternity, needs a revisit and to advocate for those changes. The civil service has, I believe, adopted a revamped family leave. And I think it's time to examine that and apply that to the private sector. So it's a very valid question.
All right. Amori has a question for you, Robert. Amori says, ask the gentleman how exactly will he help Caymanians? He is part of the problem. Why Caymanians can't afford property? Because they go around grabbing up properties, telling the owners that they can get them X amount for the property listing for more than the owner was actually asking for. So tell us, someone seems to, I don't know, Maury must be in the real estate industry, but tell us exactly how this works, Robert. I mean, do you go around to a seller who says, okay, I've got an evaluation, my home is worth $400,000, or you tell them, no, we can get you $1 million. What's going on?
No, thanks for the question. Sandra, I'm known in the district, I'm known in the business, I'm Caymanian. I don't have to send letters to property owners and landowners advising them that their property is now exorbitantly high, like the other real estate companies and the newbies who's new to this industry. I have the luxury of people calling me to list their properties. So I don't overinflate a property. It doesn't do me justice or the seller any justice to market a property that's overvalued. It costs me money to market the property, and it's a waste of my time to have a listing that's overpriced. It doesn't do anyone any favors. As it relates to cost of land, well, everything right now is moving east in the real estate and development. There's nothing left in West Bay, Georgetown, Savannah, Newlands that's affordable to Caymanians. And people just entering the real estate market. the biggest issues with our eastern district development is the road issue and the traffic issues. People don't want to purchase beyond Savannah Newlands, and I always said, well, do you have Savannah Newlands budget? You know, Savannah Newlands and Georgetown, Red Bay, the value of land now we refer to as champagne money. Do you have champagne money? Why not invest in where you can afford a growing district that you can help build a community that you can have a say in how that community is built. We need our development plan to include smaller lot sizes so that we can bring the cost of land smaller down. There's so much that I could do to promote the cost of land. We give concessions to larger developers. What about our small developers, that has successfully built and sold 2 or 3 homes? Why aren't they not allowed concessions? So that hopefully we can bring those costs down, that is more affordable, that our people and young people can afford it at home. Housing right now is a major issue, so
And I think Robert just touched on 2 words there that Sandra segues perfectly into the next segment before we run out of time.
Yes.
Young people.
Yep. All right. So we have a surprise guest for you, young lady. Turn your camera on. Honey Chow, we're coming for you. So as you saw for the announcement today, a lot of you might have been looking at that and thinking, what does this mean? We showed you the 3 individuals that are on your screen right now. And then we had a 4th person in silhouette that we said surprise. And so I know a lot of you are thinking, we love a good surprise in CMR, but who on earth is this person? Now, normally I would do a little giveaway here, but we don't have time for that this morning because y'all may take all day trying to guess. We're going to just bring her on to the program and let you guys see for yourselves this beautiful young lady. Her name is Leanne Tibbetts. Good morning, Leanne.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am great. Excited.
Yes. Well, it's so lovely to have you on the program. We're pushing 600 people on social media alone. So tell us a little bit, Leanne, about who you are and why are you here today?
So again, my name is Leanne Tibbetts. Most people know me as the past Miss World or as a pilot for Cayman Airways. I have just left that post in order to pursue what I'm passionate about, which is impact and change, especially in the Cayman Islands. And what I am here to do is I'm excited to be a part of a brand new movement. So I've been contracted to, I'll just kind of paint the picture for you. And I'm particularly talking to young people in the country, anybody who is young in the Cayman Islands and you felt like you've been unheard, unseen, like cost of living is going through the roof. We can't afford to live in our own country, etc. If this is you, I need you to pay attention because what we're starting right now is a youth-led movement led by young people so that we can impact change within Cayman through the TCCP.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Beautiful. So the youth arm essentially of the party, Mr. Andre, is what I'm hearing here. So tell us obviously a little bit about your vision for the youth arm and of course why you thought that Leanne Tibbetts would be a good young lady to head that up.
So just so that I make this point directly to you, Sandra, this is breaking news on CMR. You have this first.
Love it.
If you reflect back on our party's launch, which was on this program, we discussed that an important portion of our Constitution was to have a youth council. To have the organization, the party, have elements of it that runs autonomously. So it's a living, breathing organization alongside of the executive, which helps feed into the policy making of the executive. You were present Saturday gone at the Alex Panton Foundation.
Absolutely.
I believe it was the 8th annual Alex Panton Foundation Youth Symposium, with all of the data, analysis, and insights conveyed by young persons of the challenges that they face, the stresses that they face, and how that impacts them as people. We were all moved by those accounts to say this underscores the reason why the party has to have a youth council. So, coming at the back of that, and I've been to a number of the symposiums, very good talk, but then there isn't as much action, government action afterwards. This then inspired us to say, this is the moment where we pounce on being able to establish a youth council to put words into action. And knowing where Leanne's heart is, knowing her involvement in the community, I couldn't think of a better person to approach to say, can you chair this and start beyond the council, which is already in the Constitution, but a movement to galvanize young people that are feeding into each policy area of the party, that are present and able to talk to us each day, and to have their initiatives, their thoughts, their ideas enacted into policy is incredibly powerful, because at the end of the day, whatever is enacted is what they inherit. So they're automatic stakeholders. So I don't want to steal any more of Leanne's thunder. I'd like her to be able to speak for herself and express the vision. But it was a meeting of the minds Saturday gone at Alex Panton Foundation, where I thought, this is it. This is the moment where this launches. Don't wait to see there's any outcome of any election. Is it right? Should we do this? Are they really being heard? Let's do this now.
Yes, I mean, listen, Leanne, I had an opportunity to obviously during the lunch break speak to you at the symposium on Saturday. And first of all, Andre, I want to thank you for having, different people there. I saw Miss Emily Ducou, Leanne was there, yourself, obviously, Mr. Wayne Hampton, Sabrina Turner. Your group showed up and was the only group that I saw in full force at this event. So thank you guys for supporting our youth. I was speaking to a parent last night, and there are a lot of us who care about our young people and have this passion. But I think that absolutely we need a young person to lead the charge in this regard. Someone that is relatable to them, that understands their issues. I don't know how young you are, Leanne, but I know you're definitely younger than me. So, so many people absolutely thrilled to hear this news this morning. Even Miss Carrie Tibbetts here in the comment section. Miss Jean saying excellent. Miss Jean McFarlane. There's somebody else. I got to share this with you guys because this is quite, I think, testimonial to how hopeful people are feeling here this morning. And this has just been yet another announcement that has added to that feeling of hope going into the 2025 election. But Leanne, you've taken up the charge. You've told us why you have done so. You're going to be, having a lot of expectations placed on you. Tell us how you intend to handle the pressure, especially when you see comments like this. Not gonna lie, I have tears right now. Finally feel hopeful for our country's future. Kaboom, please, for Andre and his leadership and membership choices. Pressure's on, honey child. How are you feeling?
Again, I'm excited. I mean, we've explained the why, and I've been a part of the why. We see policies being created, decisions being made that impact our future without our input. At the end of the day, we inherit this country. So the features that we want to implement within this youth movement is we want it, like I said, to be youth built and youth led, and for the most part operate independently. We want to do leadership training amongst a vast amount of training for those who are onboarding right now. And what the council will essentially do is advise on policies, and not just policies related to the youth, on all policies that are on the table for discussion. to take on leadership roles and admin roles and to have formal representation at the party council. And we plan to host a numerous set of events and initiatives. So this is whatever we want to do with it. And it's not just a situation where you find it all the time. Like, yeah, look, we have youth on our team and then they have no power. No, this is where we actually, youth is on our team and actually they wrote this policy. So that is the goal of this initiative.
Awesomely, Liana.
Sandra, I don't know if you can hear us, but it seems.
My apologies. My apologies. Yeah. I muted myself. All right. So now I was thanking Liani for that response. Thank you very, very much. And of course, lots of people now, responding to this youth movement because it's something that I think a lot of people are craving, inclusivity. Andre spoke about it earlier, and our young people should be part of it, as you have rightfully said. So someone said to please give Mr. Robert a kaboom for his last statement as well. So thank you. We're getting lots of questions. We're trying to answer as many of them as possible. This person says, I've used Robert in the past. I found him to be an honest realtor, oftentimes saying to me, this is what I would offer. So thank you, Magdalene, for that testimonial.
Thank you, Magdalene.
Yes, indeed. Now we have another commenter on WhatsApp who sent in the following. Let me just pull it up on screen. This person said, good morning. I have a question for Natasha, please. Hi, Natasha. I've known you forever. So many memories of you grooming my cats on Saturday mornings while you're raising your babies. You were simply amazing and glad you have decided to run. My question is about our children. So many of our children have been educated, have degrees, and this leads into Liani as well, have degrees and have made lives overseas. How do you propose we tackle that to ensure our children have better opportunities to return home and be employed successfully in careers of their choice? So maybe this is a split question for sure between Natasha and Liani. So, Liani, let's make you go first. Youth first.
Yes.
Yeah. This is actually very personal to me. And I will try my best to keep my composure because it's something that I experienced, when I came back here. There's a sense of like, all right, I got my degree, I got my education, I did all of everything I supposed to do. I supposed to have this job lined up for me, right? I had a government scholarship, and then you come back home and surprise, nothing, right? And it was very hard those first few years. I watched a lot of friends leave. There were about eight of us who went to the same university, came from Cayman, and it hurt me to see a lot of them leave. Majority of us left. I happened to stay because I figured this was my country. I'd find a place in it or make one. So this is the exact reason why this is being formed, right? So who better to ask this question to than the youth? What policies would you want to put in place to make sure when you come home, you find a place in your own country? That is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And from the policy perspective, it'll have to ensure that if you have a qualified young Caymanian, that the immigration system is designed and enforced to ensure that that person receives the job. So this isn't a case if you're looking at Liani to say, well, could she have done more? Could she have done additional qualifications? If she has done what the country has asked of her, what her family has asked of her, to obtain her educational qualifications, practical experience along the way, that is the person who should receive the job and then be able to progress. So we not only need to revisit the entry of Caymanians to make sure once they are workforce ready, that they're given the opportunity to enter into that workforce, but then have the enforcement around it to ensure that they continue to progress. So I'm excited to get the feedback directly from persons who joined Liani. I know, Sandra, that you have put the pressure on her, but I don't think she will be alone. My strong sense is that there will be young persons who are going to want to join her in this effort to bring forward their experiences And that's how you get real data, because you also mentioned at the top of the hour, what also binds us? What are also the values? One of the values is data driven. We don't want to necessarily just go off of feelings. What the young people will bring is our accounts of what they actually experience, so that we can translate that for the better. And then there will be employers who will say, okay, now that I understand that, I know that we have persons, particularly young Caymanians who are workforce ready, what changes can they do in their policies? Because the law goes but so far. But what other company or business policies that can be changed to ensure that they're getting top quality persons who then can further their lives? Because that also then impacts the cost of living. If you have a good job and you're making a decent salary, you're better to then cope with the cost of living in the country. So I couldn't be more excited to be able to have that direct input. And Liani asked me a question. Sandra, I must say, she was no pushover when this flash came to me at Alex Panton Foundation. She asked, is this something that's going to be controlled by the party? Will we somehow be constrained by the party? I said, no, it wouldn't then be real. If this is just a showpiece to just say that we have a youth council, then we're just spinning top in mud. What we really need is for you to actually bring the information forward, analyze it for us, so that we can then implement it into policy, so that you have real meaningful change. I don't think she'll be alone. I think she's going to be fantastic at this.
Wonderful. All right, we do have a caller. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I do have a quick question.
Sure.
Well, two questions to be exact. So the first question is that, I think some of us already know that we do have legislation in place in terms of, if you are a young Caymanian working in a workforce and there are expats ahead of you, that you are to be trained. Is there something wherein this new party is actually going to enforce some of these policies that are already in place, so that the young people do have a chance to move forward as well, instead of creating new policies? I'm not saying that they don't need to be created, but there's already legislation. Second question would be, in terms of the housing market, as someone who is involved in construction, who is a woman in construction, unfortunately, yes, we have been priced out. Unfortunately, yes, the market, there's overvalue in the market. How do we then control that factor? Instead of just saying, move up to East End, move into Bottom Town, how do we now make homes affordable for Cayman?
So on the first point to the caller's question, I think I used the word enforcement in my discussion. There isn't a need, because the caller is correct. There are already some pretty strong laws and policies on the books. They can be strengthened. But after you've done that, nothing works unless it's actually enforced. So you can have great words on a page, but if the administration and its arms through its boards aren't actually enforcing those policies, then all you are left with is words on a page. So absolutely, yes, enforcement is a critical component of it. And then terms, I think Robert touched on it. I don't want to steal your thunder and hog it, but I think you also discussed how we would rezone land. So maybe you can come back to that to address the affordability point that I think you touched on earlier.
All right, caller, any other questions before we let you go and just listen to the answers?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you, my dear. Appreciate it. All right.
Hi, Sandy. I wanted to.
Yes.
Sorry, I wanted to go back to the question regarding.
Oh yeah, we almost left you out.
Yes, sorry, I didn't get to answer that. But the last couple of years, I've worked in HR, and I've had the opportunity to work closely with many people, locals as well as expats. What I think is happening, not what I think, what I know is happening in Cayman, even in, my past working relationships, and just seeing how things happen around the island, and knowing people that own their own businesses, etc., is that the goalpost just seems to just keep moving. You have an advert out there, and this is what the employer wants, but at the end of the day, when the Caymanian applies, then it becomes something else. So I think, yes, Andre's right. It's about enforcement, not only on the immigration front, and that's one of those things that I plan to advocate on strongly for is a change to our immigration laws, because there's so many loopholes, so many that allows people to stay past their years, past the rollover date. Then those jobs never become available for our Caymanians. For quite a bit of time, I worked through the law firm with the CIFEC program, training young Caymanians in various jobs to do with intellectual property and throughout the law firm. After I left the law firm a couple years back, majority of those young Caymanians are still there today, carrying on that team. So, you know, you hear the sayings out there, oh, Caymanians, but they're lazy, they have attitudes, they have this and they have that. Everybody deserves a second chance. Just take the time out, slow down. Every day is a new day and they will get there. I've seen it time and time again, and they just need to be given that opportunity. And yes, Liani, like you, it's near and dear to my heart. My youngest son came back to Cayman after 10 years abroad at school. And he applied for a job, came back fully certified in a particular job field. And a very prominent Caymanian company turned him down rather than taking him on to train him up in that field. Whereas if they did that, then they would no longer need an overseas company to come in and do that job. And I felt within myself, yeah, that's all they had to do. Spend some money. If he had to go back overseas to get trained a little bit more, then do that. But he's a young Caymanian. It's a niche field. Take him on. Today, he's working as a boat captain with his cousins because he couldn't get into that specific field. So I see, out there a lot of injustices when it comes to our Caymanian children. And I'm a stickler about that for fairness. And, I'm hoping that that's something that we can change going forward.
Right.
And you also want to be able to balance that with employers that I know have taken people under their wings. And
Yes,
also what the youth council should also do is look for those models in the community and stress test that against those who may not be stepping up as much. What do the others do? How are they so successful in bringing forward Caymanians, putting them under their wings, and having further their careers? So we'll need both the public and the private sector, so that
Yes.
you'll understand, well, what does that organization do? Because I see plenty of Caymanians moving forward proudly in the organization, advancing in their career. So what are they doing differently than, say, others where it seems like it's a struggle?
And to your point, it's so interesting, Natasha, that you mentioned the word niche when it comes to your son, because someone else who's listening to the program says Liani did a very niche degree. Seats only open up on Cayman Airways if someone dies or retires. Or they leave and go to Dubai. Let's add that one in there. These are the things that young people also need to take into account when studying. So I think this is a fair comment. Obviously, when you decide in a profession, you do want to do what you love, but of course, what you love may have limited opportunities on an island of this size. We've got a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program. Hello, caller.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Well, I think you're the only one on the line. Yes, honey Chip.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I posted in the comments, but I have an appointment, but I really didn't want the guests' input on this.
Okay.
As some of you know, I lived in New York City most of my life, and the housing there is very expensive. $4,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment. Most New Yorkers can't afford it and have moved elsewhere. But right across the river, in a town in New Jersey, they planned for growth, specifically for the middle class. And what they did was they started developing more vertical housing. And the community is financially vibrant, culturally diverse, and I think a model for middle class housing. And I was wondering what the guests thought about going vertical.
All right, thank you, caller. Very specific question. And of course, Andre, I'm going to let you tackle this one because I know that your government, actually, the PAC government that you're part of, actually was working on, there was a task force for housing, and there's a lot of recommendations and a report that came out of that I think this government has refused to let the people see. So tell us, what were some of the recommendations, and was vertical housing one of them?
Yes, so that was an initiative because, again, the same topic that featured in the 2021 administration is now featuring again in the 2025 administration. Yes. So what was composed at the time under the leadership of the former premier was to put together a broad task force across the civil service, because the issue of housing is interlinked with a number of ministries, to be able to address, say, what I would call social or transitional housing, what you would then talk about first-time buyers, and then the cost of housing. In that report, for example, in the area of social development, we did discuss going vertical and ensuring that there was a diverse set of communities in each district or each constituency to be able to house either emergency cases where you've seen that someone, either there's a fire or there's some sort of dispute and they're left without housing. Right now, there's no immediate action that the government can take other than through the Department of Financial Assistance, which is then supplied by private landlords. Mm-hmm. The system has grown and the population has grown to the state that can't be the only viable solution. But at the same time, we're a small country and there's only so much amount of land, which goes to the caller's point. We then have to be able to then decide going vertical, because as we continue to go horizontal, the amount of land in the country is finite.
Right.
So you do have to then start to think about, well, then we'll have to go vertical. And then the question for us to tackle is then how high and in what areas, which goes back to Robert's point of having that plan of where we're going as a country, where needs to be rezoned, how high in certain areas, and to what set of constituents or residents should be focused on in those areas. So I would love to know if the caller is still on the line or could write back to you.
No, they yes.
The specific town in New Jersey.
Right.
Because I would love to look at that as a case study. Now, obviously, New Jersey has much more land than Cayman, but it doesn't mean that the model that he is proposing isn't something that we can't contextualize for the Cayman Islands. So I'd love, if he's still listening, to be able to point to that and we could research that.
Yeah, because obviously even New Jersey is a very, very big area.
And I should say to you, Sandra, that in a further segment on another day, we want to come back to talk just about housing.
Yes. All right. Now, I do know we're going to be losing our radio listeners here in just a few minutes. So, Leanne, before our radio listeners leave, a couple things specifically for you. The first one is, how can people contact you about the youth movement and find out more details?
So you can reach out to us at youthcouncil@votetccp.ky. You can email me directly. You could also find us on the website, which is votetccp.ky. Or if you follow me on Instagram or anything, you can reach out to me personally as well, and we can have that discussion.
All right. So we do have a point of clarification here, Leanne, in relation to you. Several people asked this question, so I think it is worth clarifying. So sometimes my role as a teacher is to learn, and other times it is to clarify things for the benefit of our listeners. So several people, as you're talking, sent this, and they said, hold on, anonymous, please. This one said, I'm confused. So Leanne is running or no? And then another person said, wait a minute, did she lie to us in this post that she put up on social media? So a little bit of confusion, folks. Let me clarify it for you. So Leanne did on yesterday, she did a, I guess it was a video on social media saying that she was not running this time. And she said that she had planned to do so, but she wants to continue to make an impact. So she's not on the show this morning as a candidate. So let me just make that very, very crystal clear. She's on the show as the young lady who is going to be leading up the youth arm of the TCCP. So she's not here as a candidate. She didn't lie to y'all 23 hours ago, okay? Yanni, listen,
Thank you for clarifying that.
They're savage and savvy. So they're like, wait a minute, what's going on? But
they're sharp. I do want to touch on one quick thing, though, if that's okay. You did, a previous caller spoke on the existing policies, and Andre touched on enforcement, right? That was something that I was in discussion with several young people about, and that the quality of our laws or policies are really good, but they're not enforced. And that is our job, is to hold people accountable. And then also going back to the niche field that I was in, yes, it is a niche field, but I did degree in aviation management and environmental sustainability, which allowed me to then work with civil aviation. So while it might be, yes, I'm a pilot, but that is just one element. So it's accepting someone in something, even a similar field, such as civil aviation or other fields that might be practical or applicable.
Very good. Well, thank you, because I didn't actually know that was your additional qualifications and areas of study. So thanks for sharing that. We do have a caller in the line. Good morning, caller, and welcome to the program.
Good morning again.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna lose you. I'm driving, so I'm gonna lose you on the radio. But
Okay.
Just back to this housing report, they may or may not be able to answer this question. Probably not, but I just think I'll throw it out there. Does anyone know why they're refusing to share this report? I'm really confused as to why they would not share this report. Can I stay on the line and listen, because I think radio is on.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll online, and then in terms of folks departing, being mindful of the time, Sandra, we'll also have to do some closing comments to ensure we capture most of the audience. And I know a number of the candidates have appointments, because I'm putting them to work right away. So to give more of a flavor for what the report entailed, it looked at demand, it looked at supply, it looked at cost, it looked at social housing, which I referred to earlier, and also access to financing. As to why it has not been issued, I'm not sure why, because a lot of work went into it. I'd like to start by thanking the civil servants across the wide breadth of the civil service who contributed to the report. There's a lot of good information there, but I wouldn't necessarily focus on that, because we who are here and know what's in that report can take up the mantle and lead that forward into the next administration. It has a lot of good data, but it won't be lost.
All right, caller.
Awesome. So I would, Sandra, since we're coming up at 9:30 and we're going to lose folks and these candidates, I'd offer the candidates and then offer Liani some closing remarks. So we started with ladies first. Natasha, you could kick off.
Sure. Sandra, thank you so much for having us on air today. To the listening community, thank you all so much as well for your time and for having us in your homes and in your cars and everywhere you are today. For the people of Red Bay, I look forward to meeting each and every one of you, to working together and doing everything that's needed for our community, and for the Caymanian community at large, to doing what's needed and getting in there and being a voice for all of you as well. And like I said, closing those loopholes that people are just sliding through, not enabling our Caymanians to go forward. Later on, you'll also hear about my passion for everything renovation and also housing and so on, and what my thoughts are on that. And let's just get together and keep this initiative going. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very, very much. All right, Liani, we'll let ladies go first.
Thank you. So my final call to action really is, you always hear the quote, children are the future, youth is the future. But I feel like oftentimes we're just a face with no actual voice, no power at all. But the question is, what good is a future if we don't take action today? So again, if you want to be a part of the change, come on board. You can email me, youthcouncil@votetccp.ky, or visit the website, votetccpy.ky. Or if you know me personally, please reach out. Let's have the conversation.
All right. Thank you very much. Awesome. Mr. Robert, we'll let you go next.
All right. Thank you. And following up, Buntown East needs great improvements with affordable housing. So I would be your advocate and a strong supporter of introducing more housing for the people in Buntown East. We have a severe traffic management issue, which I would be ready and able to implement some no-cost, easy, quality improvements for the Bontown commute. Immigration is passion. Immigration has a lot of issues that needs to be addressed. We have border control. We don't know who's in this country, and I don't know why our first point of entry with our identification system has not been implemented. Where we at globally, and now everything addressing us as a small country, we need to know who these people are that are coming in. There's so much stuff that can bypass this system and circumvent the process in terms of police records and who these actual people are that we're letting into this country. So border control is high up on the list. And we have a severe traffic issue that would be priority and given the people of the Eastern Districts relief. Our quality of life has deteriorated. Our children are suffering. Our whole, people are working, coming home, leaving, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is unacceptable in the year 2025. We can't have this continuing and our people are suffering. It's a nightmare. It's crazy. So the issues are real. And I tell you what, I will be your best fighter. And I want to fight for you, our people. The Caymanian people has been left behind. We have developed this country, but we have left our people behind. So I want to be your voice. I'm asking you for your support and your vote. And I'm asking for a chance to be your next representative in the parliament for the district of Bontown East. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. And Strong Will says Sandy is Robert running against John. That's right. He sure is. Mr. Andre, final comments for today.
And I'd ask handsome Robert Bodden to look directly into the camera and tell the folks of Bontown East when your first yard meeting is.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Andre.
Yes,
All right. So my first yard meeting will be next week. It will be Thursday. We're looking to start in Silver Hill area. So this will be a small yard meeting. I'm hoping to launch my campaign for the Bontown East, which will be March 11th. That launch will be on Harvey Stevenson Drive. So look forward for my announcement and location, and I look forward to seeing everyone come out, ask me your questions, and you will hear from me directly of my plans for Bontown East.
All right, thank you so much.
Natasha, any early meetings or gatherings that you want to highlight at this moment? You might be muted.
Yes.
I keep doing that so you guys don't hear the people walking above me. Our plans are to have a yard meeting next week. The day hasn't been finalized yet, as I am cognizant that a lot of persons in the neighborhood do attend churches, especially on Thursdays. But we'll have it out. I do have social media pages. I'm on Facebook, Natasha Whitelock, and you'll notice there's two of those. So make sure you grab the one that's attributed to the party. And also I'm on Instagram and of course our Vote TCC page, votetccp.ky. You can reach us through there.
Thank you.
Fantastic. And finally, Andre, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandra. And thank you to all of your viewers. In closing, I first want to thank Natasha, Robert in capacity as candidates, and Liani as capacity as the Youth Council Chair for standing up for the country. This isn't easy. Let's be real. I'll call them out. Yes, there were butterflies last night when we talked about it on the show, because it isn't easy to fall under public scrutiny. But they are willing, and they're proof in front of you in your screens that they were willing to overcome those jitters in furtherance of taking the country from strength to strength. So I want to applaud them and thank them.
Absolutely.
It is now our intention to continue methodically and deliberately growing as a team, and hopefully we'll have further announcements to grow the team next week. And we look forward to that ahead of nomination day. And we also look forward to being there for the Caymanian community as a whole. You've seen us touch on the youth arm. We are in this together. We love our islands, and we have to be inclusive of all the range of issues. And good people are out there that can help us bring this country back into balance. So thank you. God bless you. God bless the Cayman Islands. And we look forward to chatting some more next week.
Fantastic. Thank you to Ms. Natasha Whitelock, Robert Bodden, 2 candidates, Ms. Leanna, heading up the Youth Council, and of course, the head of the party, Mr. Andre Ebanks. So Ms. Venetia says, as someone living in the Eastern Districts, I look forward to the changes. So she is looking forward to that. Let me just throw up a few more comments before we end the program today. This one says, blessed good morning, San dearest, and what wonderful, inspiring group this morning. Strong team, hashtag TCCP. I wish them all of the best and to make Cayman great again. And special thanks to our future premier, the Honorable Andre Ebanks. She's naming and claiming it and says, goosebumps, tears. Oh my goodness. Another one said, Mr. Bodden, if you can send that Boddentown donkey back to pasture, I will take you to lunch. What a heat, honey child. Folks, April the 30th, right around the corner. You're the ones who have to take him out to pasture. Mr. Robert Bodden will do his best. All the candidates will do their best. But ultimately, it comes down to the people, the voters, to go to the polls. I want us to have the highest voter numbers ever in this country. Go out and let your voices be heard. If you're not happy with the current state of things, if you're not happy with what transpired over the past 4 years, there is something you can do about it. You always say, oh, I don't have any power. How do I hold them accountable? Honey child, you're going to do that on April the 30th. That's when you hold them accountable. You go to the polls and you vote for sensible representatives, people who you believe can get the job done. Not someone who's going to give you money and try and buy your vote. Not someone who's going to, give you a brand new refrigerator, whatever else they're trying to throw at you. Because remember, honey child, they will buy you and they will sell you. Because they know you come in cheap, and they'll turn right around and sell you to the next highest bidder. That's the equivalent of slavery, buying and selling you down the river. So don't allow them to do that. Stand up for yourselves and know that for the future of Cayman and for the betterment of all of us, we're looking for equality and opportunities for all Caymanians first and foremost. And it's about voting sensibly. That is what matters. Thank you, Valeska. Says social inequality and ensuring access to opportunities for all residents is an important goal. Well, we're going to start with Caymanians first and then residents, because this is the Cayman Islands. All right. No shame in that. All right. Thank you so much. Hope that you guys have a wonderful day. And we'll be back here now. Let me give you guys a little bit of the lineup. We're going to be announcing more candidates that are coming out in the coming days that you'll be seeing on this platform. I've explained how the process works, but just to ensure that there is no doubt about this, any candidate that you see on this program, that's their paid time. They're coming on here. They're paying to have access to Cayman's largest audience. I mean, our numbers continue to grow from strength to strength. Can we get a hallelujah up in here? Where's my hallelujah button? Hold on now, honey child. Where's that hallelujah button? Hold on. Hallelujah.
Praise the Lord.
You go. Yes, honey child. Giving thanks and praises. All right. So wonderful audience. You guys are thinking. You're coming with good questions. You're asking a lot of questions. So thank you so much. Kashina says, please remember when voting, vote for our children's future. That's right. And vote for your future too. Because listen, my daughter was like, yesterday, she told me, she says, Mom, you're a little bit old, because she knows I'm 51. She's like, you're a little bit old. How old will you be when I'm 51? I said, honey child, I'm only going to be like 94 years old. I'm still going to be going strong. I want to be here for her and grandchildren and great grandchildren. So I'm voting for myself too. Yes, I'm voting for her for sure. But I'm including myself in that because I ain't going nowhere soon. That's why I'm out here trying to get my little exercise in. Anyway, listen, Caymanians, we got to make some better decisions, right? So they're coming on. That's their time. But you hold them to the fire. You put their questions to them. It is what it is. Selvin says, is your platform available for the same price? Hello, honey child. The packages are set. Now, for these people who waited to the last minute, you can't expect to come on and get the same thing that people who've been on here for months are going to get. So there is that. Dates are booked out and stuff already. it's a situation when it comes to running a business. You have to do it right, and you have to do it equitably and fairly. Okay, honey child. All right. So anywho, you will see them. They're going to come out. They're going to tell you this, that, and the next thing. Be discerning. Be discerning. It is you, the voters. I have tried to guide you guys, and I will continue to do so on the days that nobody's here, on how to make better decisions, right? We've looked at the traits. We're going to come back to that on, what is today, by the way? Today's Wednesday. We're going to come back to that probably on Friday's show, maybe. I think Ralston's coming on Friday, actually. But we got a lot of candidates coming on. Hold them accountable. Talk about it, okay? What else did I want to say about that? All right, I think that's more or less it. Something else will come to me. There was another point, but it'll come to me. All right. So, what more can I say? This is a pivotal election. I think every election is pivotal, personally. And we've got to make them count. You only get to do it once every 4 years. To me, that's such an important thing, that people around the world who die for the right to vote, we should not take it for granted. Tartarian, thank you so much, honey chill. Appreciate the fire emoji. Anyway, that's it. I've got a busy day ahead. Lots of meetings today lined up. And I wish you guys a wonderful, wonderful day. Strong Will says they're going to come out like crabs. Well, that's to be expected. You all know this already. Last time I think we had over 60-something people running. This year will probably be no exception to that. And, they're going to come out and run, but you guys are the ones who ultimately decide who will get the privilege of being one of the 19. Somebody said, amen. Thanks, San. Love and God bless. Thank you, honey child. All right, that's it. Thank you so much. Someone said to please remind your listeners that it takes courage to stand for public office and to be on the show. Well, absolutely, because there's a lot of people who will not come on this show. They're running, so they have half a courage, but they won't come on this show to save their lives because they don't want you asking the tough questions. As you saw today, we asked them some tough questions. Who you dating? You sure? Well, as a realtor, you're not scamming anybody. You're not selling them broken homes that you knew about. Full disclosure, they had the opportunity to view the home, to inspect it. Y'all want to know, okay? So it is what it is, and it takes a special kind of person to be able to come on here. We're not sugarcoating anything. It's all about the cold, hard truth. Praise the Lord. All right, that's all I got for you. I feel like some George Jones today. How about y'all? Y'all want to hear a little George Jones as we end the program? I love a little country every once in a while.
You don't know who I am, but I know all about you. I've come to talk to you tonight about the things I've seen you do. I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth. There is a woman we both know. I think you know the one I mean. She gave her heart and soul to you. You gave her only broken dreams. You say you're not the one to blame for all the heartache she's been through. I say you're nothing but a lie. I'm the cold, hard truth. All your life, that's how it's been.
for number one, taking more than you give, moving on when you're done. With her you could have had it all, a family and love to last. If you had any sense at all, you'd go and beg her to come back. You think that you're a real man, but you're nothing but a fool. The way you run away from love, the way you try to play it cool. I'm gonna say this just one time. Time is running out on you. You best remember me, my friend. I am the cold, hard truth. You best remember me, my friend. I am the cold, hard truth.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.